Hi, this is Niki with RegimeChange.org, and we're back again to discuss fluoride and national security. During World War II, a severe pollution incident occurred downwind of the E.I. DuPont Company chemical factory from New Jersey. Something was burning their peach crops. The livestock were sick and crippled to the point that they couldn't even stand. Dr. Harold Hodge from the University of Rochester division of the Manhattan Project believed there would be 4 distinct issues that he wrote to his boss about. His boss was Colonel Stafford Warren, chief of the medical division. The first issue is a question of injury of the peach crop in 1944. The second is a report of extraordinary fluoride content of vegetables grown in the area. Thirdly, a report of unusually high fluoride content in the blood of humans living in this area. And lastly, a report raising concerns of serious poisoning of horse and cattle. Aren't they cute? After the war, these farmers sued DuPont and the Manhattan Project for fluoride damage. I would too. These were among some of the first lawsuits to take place against the atomic bomb program. During the trial, secret documents were revealed about their secret meetings. These meetings were attended by scientists and officials from the U.S. War Department, the Manhattan Project, the Food and Drug Administration, the Agriculture and Justice Departments, the U.S. Army's Chemical Warfare Service and Edgewood Arsenal, the Bureau of Standards, and of course, DuPont lawyers. These meetings were used as a gateway to gather evidence to protect the government's involvement throughout the ordeal. A public interest lawyer specializing in nuclear cases named Jacqueline Kittrell examined these documents and found the reports on human injury incredibly disturbing because it had the potential for enormous settlements and PR problems. She also mentioned it would be an outlet and doorway for further lawsuits, which could hinder the bomb's programmed usage of fluoride. There was also a memo from General Groves stating that new tests would be conducted for fluoride and that the greatest evidence would come from the U.S. Army's Chemical Warfare Service. So let me get this straight. We're supposed to take evidence from a service that was involved in keeping the government's involvement a secret. How does this make any sense? As you can imagine, citizens were pretty panicked by the fluoride. Things continued to heat up for the farmers. The spokesman of the farmers, Willard Kill, announced that the creator of the atomic bomb actually had fluoride poisoning himself. Now, how ironic is that? The lawsuits were eventually blocked because the government refused to release how much fluoride DuPont vented into the atmosphere during the war. The University of Rochester is taking matters in their own hands and conducting experiments to decipher the toxic levels and effects of fluoride to prove that it's safe. These case studies were named Program F and were used to furnish scientific ammunition that the government would use to defeat the lawsuits for human injuries that occurred. The effort was used to determine the relationship between toxic effects and blood fluorides. Of course, these case studies weren't considered scientifically acceptable because of their bias to prove that the chemical was safe. Of course it's not acceptable. By adding fluoride to the public water supplies, the program was provided an opportunity to create human studies. Don't you love how we have things done without our knowledge? And they wonder why we get so upset when there are negative side effects. The Newburgh Demonstration Project was the first planned water fluoridation experiment by the bomb program scientists, and it's considered the most extensive study of health effects of fluoride. The study was made to prove that small doses are safe for children's bones and teeth. The committee conducting the experiment recommended that the town of Newburgh, New York be fluorinated. Little did the committee know that Program F was also conducting its own secret study on the Newburgh citizens on the amount of fluoride retained in their blood and tissues. The project concluded that small concentrations of fluoride were ultimately safe. However, the mayor of Newburgh was outraged that the experiment went on without people's knowledge or permission. Wouldn't you be outraged? I know I would. National Archive librarians also argued that if a piece of evidence is missing from a file, that it's most likely still classified. Executive Director of the American Environmental Health Studies Project, Clifford Honecker, agrees that the documents have somehow disappeared by the government. Another interesting piece of information involves a study conducted by a team of dentists. It reveals that the secret reports stated most men had no teeth left, yet the public reports said that the men had fewer cavities. Secret reports also stated that men had to wear rubber boots because their nails began to disintegrate from the fluoride fumes. Yet the published reports don't mention this at all. Secret reports also say that fluoride may contribute to toothlessness through the disintegration. Public reports omit the statement completely. The published version also concludes that men were genuinely healthy medically and dentally. These findings made Phyllis Molinix feel ashamed to be a scientist. How ashamed should they be? pretty ashamed in my opinion.